What's going on, everyone? Mets Talk with Hayden here. I see we got 10 people in the chat already. Let's go, LFGM all. Got a ton of comments. I figured we'd do the stream a bit earlier today. Usually we do the streams a bit later, but I figured we'd do them a bit earlier today. Got some stuff to do later on, so I don't know how much of a crowd we'll get today, but hey, as long as I can go over what I want, that is my goal. So we have a ton of stuff to talk about, everything with the Mets and Diamondbacks series recap, the Mets and Orioles season preview. We're going to be talking about people on the IL. We're going to be talking about the Lindor and McNeil incident. We're going to be talking about who the real Donnie Stevenson is. We're going to get into so much. So I'd say why not waste any time and let's dive right into it. I do want to get some more people on the chat. So please, everyone, if you can, share this stream, share it on your social media, share it with your friends, share it with your grandparents, for goodness sake. I have no idea. But we have so much stuff to talk about today. I got all my notes, everything nice and organized for today's live stream. We're gonna talk about quite a bit of stuff in regards of today's stream. So first, we should probably bring up the Mets Game 1 Diamondbacks and Mets game. The New York Mets took that game 5-4. And of course, we had David Peterson on the bump. And, David Peterson, we all know how I feel about him. I'm a lot of Mets fans are very ambiguous when it comes to Peterson. But I think if we looked at Peterson, the first inning for Peterson went fine. We see that he got into a couple jams. And that's the thing that I think we're going to see with Peterson is that he's very ambiguous. He'll have a first good start in the first two innings, and then the second, third, fourth will come. He'll start to struggle. So do you want to make a bullpen argument? Sure, but we're going to get into that later. But overall, looking at David Peterson, like I said, the first inning went fine for him. Then the second inning didn't really treat him well. Got a ton of walks, base hit by pitch, all that stuff. Yeah, my Angels hat, I know. Well, it's in honor of Albert Pujols, so I could put my Cardinals hat on, but I think everyone would rather me have the Angels hat. So Peterson pretty much, he struggled a lot. He struggled mentally. We know David Peterson is such a young guy. He's 23, 24 years old. So, that's going to do a lot. And it's kind of like with it's kind of like the situation with what's his face, Steven Matz. He'd get a call that he didn't like, and then you see him turn around and start screaming, and that's what happened. Yeah, sure, the umpire may have screwed up a call or two, but then that really got to Peterson's head, and it all just got a bunch of jumble in his head, and it kind of destroyed him for the rest of his outing. So like we said, that was one thing that happens with Peterson. He's gonna have to get that under control, and I understand all young rookies. He's 25. Okay, listen, all young rookies, they have this issue. But overall, Peterson, he went 1.2 innings pitched, gave up 3 hits, 3 runs, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts, and he has a 5.54 ERA. So Peterson, he had his fair share of struggles. I will say the Mets bats did start off quiet, which is, typical for a Mets game so far this year. They started off quiet, but then towards the end of the game, they started to come back. We had the whole communication with Francisco Lindor and Jeff McNeil incident pretty much in the 6th inning, I believe it was. No, it was in the 7th inning that the two of them were going to field a ground ball at the same time. And I'm guessing supposedly McNeil maybe should have played behind Lindor, but it was the other way around. So Lindor got it. He went to grab it. Simple ground ball. He couldn't throw the runner out at first. So that was kind of an issue in regards to the Mets. And then we're going to get into that issue later on. So I think communication between Lindor and McNeil definitely could be a little bit more up there. But I think it'll be time. These guys, they're getting used to each other. McNeil and Lindor, they're not used to standing next to each other. They have to get used to how they shift, how they approach things. It's going to take time for those two to get acclimated next to each other. They're going to be standing 10, 15 people, 10 to 15 feet apart from each other for the whole season. So it's going to take time. But that's going to be one thing. We saw Francisco Lindor did get out of a slump. He had a 2-run salami. Well, that wasn't a salami, but a huge home run in the 7th inning to tie up the ball game, put the Mets in a precedented time to take the ball game back. And it was a great moment. I was screaming. I was pumped. And then, like we said, we had a strong bullpen appearance. We had Gazelman, Hunter, Barnes, Castro, and Diaz. Our bullpen is looking great. And then we know Aaron Loop did get the win. And of course, I was live for the walk-off of that game. Patrick Mazeika, the Diamondbacks, they had a rough outing that game. The defense killed them, a lot of errors, and their bullpen really got to them. The runner on second kind of helped us. I mean, we had bases loaded anyways, so comes to a question, how much would that have been in our favor? That's another story for another time. But yeah, in terms of that, Patrick Mazeika got his first RBI and a first walk-off. So good for Patrick Mazeika. Great for him. Honestly, that was a great game. That really gave me some 2019 vibes. Pete Alonso, running up to home plate, throwing off his helmet like that and smiling. So, that was just really something that I really enjoyed. Just to see as a baseball fan, see these walk-offs. I mean, I always enjoy a good walk-off. I really do. So in terms of game 2, which was on Saturday, the Mets took the W in that also 4-2. And that was a bullpen game. And it was very concerning going in because we used a lot of our bullpen the day prior with David Peterson getting taken out. So it came to a situation of, what are we going to do? And that really concerned me is, what were we going to do? I mean, we had so much of a bullpen issue. But luckily Tommy Hunter, who was called up, he had a solid performance. He came in, he pitched the first 2 innings, had a solid 2 innings outings. 1 strikeout and nothing else, 0 ERA, so he's still looking good on the board. And I think that's maybe something you could do. I mean, in terms of this 5th starter until we get Castro back, until we don't get what the heck is his face? Carlos Carrasco back. Once we don't get, until we get him back, maybe we could do this. Maybe you could have a guy like Castro Gazelman go in for an inning or 2, face, the top of that order, and then put, maybe like a long reliever in to kind of go the 3rd, 4th, and maybe 5th inning to kind of get that bottom of the order. So I don't know. That's something that I was thinking that Rojas was trying to intend. I actually thought it was a good idea. One of the few things that I didn't lose my brain about with Rojas. So overall, no complaints about that. As much as I am not fond of Rojas, that was actually one good thing that he did do. And like we said, Jeff McNeil was the first Met bat to wake up. He had a a huge bomb to the right field, almost Coca-Cola, Pepsi corner, whatever the heck it's called. A 2-run homer in the 3rd inning. So the Mets bats struck first. Jeff McNeil, I'm hoping this dude's power can come back. We saw in 2019, he finished with 23 home runs. Is it likely he could do the same thing? Sure. He's not going to be like Pete Alonso and hit, 53 home runs, but he could finish the season, 15, 20, maybe 25 potentially. If McNeil could stay healthy and, do what he's doing each day. But in terms, we had great defensive plays. Kevin Pillar in center field made a nice grab. Conforto made his first great grab in terms of the second game of that series. So the defense definitely came into clutch, diving catches when needed. Alonso scooped that ball at first base when it was the bases loaded jam, scooped it well in just numerous innings itself. So the Mets defense really kicked in that game. We did have the bullpen, which was strong. Lucchesi went in after that, 3 innings pitched, a hit, a run, 3 strikeouts, and a walk. The Mets did have a no-hitter going into the 6th inning, but sadly that was given up at some point. Then we had Jeurys Familia, who went 1.2 innings pitched, 3 hits, 2 strikeouts, and he got us out of a loaded bases jam. So that was definitely a concern. And I believe that was when Alonso made that nice grab. Lindor threw it a little high. Alonso scooped it cleanly, and he came off the bag. And I thought he was safe, and I was about to go a little triggered, but luckily Alonso saved. Definitely one of the heroes of that game. He saved that. And then we had Aaron Loop, who has also been looking hot so far this season. The lefty submarine pitcher. He went an inning, 2 hits, a run, a walk, and a strikeout. Then we had Trevor May, who got the save in that game. Who went an inning, a hit, and got the save for his first save of the year. And then we had Joey Lucchesi, who earned his first win as a New York Met, who is now 1-2 on the season. It's still questionable if Lucchesi is going to be that 5th starter. It's probably going to be a bullpen opener kind of thing, and I don't mind it. I mean, we see the Rays do it a lot. The Nationals did it every now and then, but And in terms of game 2, Francisco Lindor was hot. He did go 2 for 3 with an RBI, a walk, and he also got a stolen base, which was his 100th career stolen base. So that was something pretty interesting to look at with Francisco Lindor. So that was great. And then in terms of the D-backs, they didn't play well that game. They had so many errors. They went 3 for 10 with runners in scoring position and left 11 on base. So just not a good game for the D-backs. We saw them come into the series struggling, since Miami. We know the Marlins swept them. So it didn't look good. It didn't look good. And I mean, I know last year, I think the Mets are what now, like 10-1 or something since playing with them last. I know 2019, we crushed them. I don't know. So that was good to beat an out of division team. I always enjoy watching the out of division team. So that was game 2. That was a good game. That was the Saturday game. And then in terms of Sunday's game, which is probably the game that most of us remember vividly, quite a game, I will say that. I got really concerned that it was going to be rained out, but luckily the weather in New York State did hold up, especially in Flushing, Queens. So this was yesterday's game 3, Mother's Day. So all the players, they pink socks, the pink logo. So all that was great. I always enjoy the Mother's Day vibes. I was watching that. So the Mets got the W in that also to sweep the series. The Mets took that 4-2. It was DeGrom Day. Hold up, someone's texting me. Sorry about that. It was DeGrom Day. DeGrom was on the bump. He was coming off from a missed start due to a lat injury last week. So the Mets didn't – I wasn't expecting him to go out 7 innings, especially as a guy who throws hard. I really wasn't, to be honest with you. I expected him to probably go 5 innings regardless of what happened. I really only expected him to go 5 innings. You got to be careful with DeGrom. We're going to get into this later, but DeGrom went 5 innings pitched, 6 strikeouts, 3 walks. And, I say 3 walks, and typically everyone's like, oh, that's great. 3 walks in 5 innings. Who does that? But not DeGrom. I mean, DeGrom doesn't give many walks. I mean, he really doesn't. I mean, this dude will go 9 innings. He'll give up what? 1 walk, 2 walks. So, I mean, if anything, if people were to say, does DeGrom have a better chance of getting a no-hitter or a perfect game, I'd probably say perfect game because DeGrom, he doesn't throw any walk. He doesn't, give up too many balls. So that'll be something that I definitely would like to see more out of DeGrom. Keep that walk rate low and the strikeout rate high. So that'll be something of my expectation. But in terms, everything else looked good. He struggled a bit in the 5th inning, of course. Unfortunately, DeGrom did have to leave in the 5th inning from tightness and inflammation from a prior injury from last week, as we all know about that. So in return, Miguel Castro took up. He went an inning, a walk. Jacob Barnes went up next, 1.1 innings, 2 hits, a run, and 2 strikeouts. And then we had Edwin Diaz go for the 5-out save for his 2nd time in his major league career and 1st time with the New York Mets, who went 1.2 innings pitched, a hit, and 3 strikeouts. So Diaz is looking electric this year, pure nastiness. Like we said, the Mets were able to score runs for DeGrom. I mean, what a shock. Absolutely. What a shock, huh? We don't see this very much. I mean, imagine we scored runs for this guy. I could only imagine how many wins this dude would have. And it's crazy to think, the best pitcher in baseball, he only has like 70 career wins or something like that. So definitely if this could be, sped up more with these runs. If we could do, give the guy 2-3 runs. That's all you got to do. I mean, it's unlikely he'll give up 2 more than it's unlikely he'll give up a run. Simple as that. And like we said, we scored runs for him. Lindor's starting to wake up. He had 3 at-bats, 1 hit, and an RBI. His defense is looking good, and his offense is starting to get up there. I made a video about it last week. Please check it out if you guys don't mind. And like we said, the bats are waking up. I do want to talk about that Michael Conforto catch because, oh boy, that was nuts. I mean, I'm sure most of you have seen it. If not, please check it out. What a catch what a catch. I forgot who hit it. I want to say it was his dribble Cabrera. No, it was Peralta, I think. I don't know. Let me know in the comments who it was. But regardless, one of the Diamondback players, he hit it. I thought that was gone. I don't think it would have been gone. It probably would have been a double or a triple. If it was Peralta, probably could have been a triple. Pretty fast guy right there. But gorgeous catch. He was running back, kind of like what we saw with the Orioles last year when he made that game saving. Oh, it was Escobar. Okay, yeah, Mets PTSD right there. He, went back to the warning track, and he was on the warning track, looked behind, grabbed the ball, kind of jumped a little, and then grabbed the ball, fell on the ground. I thought he got hurt at first. I was about to scream. But in terms of that was great. He got the ball, saved the Grom. I don't think it would have been a home run. I mean, I can't. It probably would have not been. But yeah, and we got the late going in the chat. I see. You guys love using that word. We need to find a new synonym for late. I really do. We should find a new synonym. Maybe like ahead of, I don't know, late to the show. I don't know. We'll figure that out later. Who cares? But yeah, that was the Mets and Diamondbacks series recap. It was everything expected. I mean, I was concerned going into the series. The Diamondbacks were, I think, second in MLB with runs scored per game. I think it was like 5.3 runs average scored per game. So it was very concerning in my book, especially with the Mets coming off, a rough. Well, St. Louis was a good series. We got 3 out of 1, and then we got Tardy. Okay, I'll take Tardy. And then we got took the 3-game sweep. I don't have a broom on me, so I can't sweep or anything like that. I was gonna maybe upload a picture on my Instagram later if you guys want to check it out of me like sweeping or whatever. Yeah, Tardy. I like that. Well, use that in the Discord now. Tardy. Screw late. We don't use the word late. So that was a great series, honestly. No complaints. Alonso struggled a little bit. I believe he didn't even get a hit. But so I would say he was one of the cons of this series. Actually, I don't want to say that because his defense was really spectacular. I mean, Alonso's just more patient at the plate. He has a good eye. I mean, what else? There's so much more to say, but I did upload a video on that too, so please check that out also. Yeah, so that was that. In terms of the heroes of this series, I guess I got to go Lindor. I mean, he really opened things up with it. So in terms, we got the lates already. Oh goodness. So in terms of the upcoming series, this is going to be a interesting 2-game interleague series. It's going to be the Mets against the Baltimore Orioles, and honestly, I always kind of like the interleague series. I don't know why. I think it's because we rarely get to see interleague series. I don't mind the Mets playing, the Red Sox or the Mariners. If anything, I like it because we rarely get to see them. And I mean, I don't follow much, AL West teams or anything more. So, I'm more knowledgeable in the National League teams. So definitely something that I like to see a lot. I don't know what the heck is going on in the chat, but we're everyone's being goofy, I could see. But we got the Mets and Orioles 2-game interleague series. Today is an off day. That usually happens in between those interleague series. They usually do that. I don't know why, but MLB has its reasoning for everything. So we will have game 1, which will be on Tuesday at 7:10 p.m. And it'll be Marcus Stroman on the bump, who is trying to get more of a higher strikeout rate. We've seen that, Stroman, he's such a ground ball pitcher. Throughout most of his career, even with the Blue Jays, he's really been this ground ball pitcher. And I really think he's really trying to start to be more of a strikeout pitcher. And we know that's one thing that Stroman has expressed, a lot this offseason. So far this season is that, he's really trying to be more of a strikeout pitcher. He's trying to get that K rate up, that walk rate down, less contact with the ball. And I think it's possible. We see Stroman, he's occupying his slider and his splitter. I think those are the 2 pitches. He's occupying those pitches more to get more swinging and misses. And that is another thing Stroman is attempting to do, is get more swinging and misses. Yeah, so that'll be something that we're going to see if Marcus Stroman can go into the series with the mindset of that. And then, sadly, we will be having John Means on the mound. And I hate to say sadly, because John Means, his last outing, he threw a no-hitter against the Seattle Mariners, one of the first no-hitters for the Baltimore Orioles since 1969. That was over 52 years ago. 51, 53, yeah. Well, depending what the date was, but yeah. So over 50 years ago, we'll go with that. So that was crazy to think about. But John Means, We see he's one of those few Baltimore Orioles players that get a spotlight. He has great power. He is kind of like he's kind of like what Stroman wants to be. He has a high strike rate, a lot of swinging and misses. He occupies that four-seam fastball, has great velocity. He as well as a lot of fly balls too. So that'll be something that we're going to see a lot of fly balls we're going to see from John Beans off the Mets bats. So that'll be game one. That'll be a great game. Honestly, I'm definitely going to tune into that. And then game two, we'll just 1969 was since the last Orioles no hitter. I think it was almost a perfect game, but I think there was a strikeout and it hit the ground. But yeah. So game two, this will definitely be Mets nostalgia. Oh, we have my fan page in the chat. Yankees Talk with Hayden. Oh, very, very fascinating. I'm famous now. So game two, which is pretty much Mets nostalgia. We have Matt Harvey on the bump for the Baltimore Orioles. I mean, we saw him with the Reds. I think we saw him with the Royals, the Angels ever since he left the Mets in 2018, and they kind of just skedadded him. Really sad story with Matt Harvey. I mean, just to briefly talk about it, this dude had so much potential. So much potential with this team. We saw him in 2013, and he was kind of like that guy that kind of started, I don't want to say a new dynasty, but like a new transition into that 2015 playoff team. I mean, 2013, he was an all-star, almost rookie of the year. Everyone loved him. I liked Matt Harvey. As a person, he was another story, definitely a party guy. But as a ball player, he was a great ball player. I loved him. I mean, as a Mets fan, it was something that I enjoyed to see. So it is going to be big nostalgia to see Matt Harvey back in the bump at Citi Field coming Wednesday. And this will be Wednesday's game, of course, which will be at 12:10, which I don't know why it's at 12:10. I'm not going to ask, but so that will be Taijuan Walker on the bump for the Mets. And right now, we could see Taijuan Walker. He's been having a nice season so far. I say he's definitely been one of the, so far, besides Lindor, one of the best acquisitions we got so far this offseason to prove himself. So that'll be something we'll see how Taijuan Walker could prove himself on the mound. He's coming off a great start in St. Louis. We did see that. His velocity is picking up on his fastball. I think his average fastball, his velocity picked up at least 1 mile per hour since last year, before, all of his injuries and stuff with the Mariners and Blue Jays, as well as 4 other pitches. But, he sees him mainly four-seam fastball type of guy. So something we're going to have to see with him. And like we said, we will have Matt Harvey on the bump for the New York Mets. I honestly never thought I'd say that, not for the New York Mets. We will have Matt Harvey on the bump at Citi Field for the Baltimore Orioles. I never thought those words would come out of my mouth. But so far, I think we saw Matt Harvey. He's been doing all right with the Orioles. He's an average pitcher. Right now, his stats are 3-2, 3.60 ERA, and a 1.2 whip. That's average. It honestly is. I mean, it's not going to win you a Cy Young, and it's not going to DFA you, I guess you could say, or send you down or whatever. So he's definitely an average pitcher, no doubt. And like we said, his last outing, which I think was 4 days ago, or 5 days ago, I should say. We have 2 series. Oh, goodness. We saw that Matt Harvey pitched over 96 miles per hour for the first time since 2018. So that was crazy to see, honestly. Never thought I'd see the day where Matt Harvey would simply do that again. Yeah, trust me, people like to be goofy. I'll say that. So that'll definitely be something. That's going to be a great game, honestly. I love the Mets and Orioles recap, 1969 World Series matchup for you right there. So I may honestly even stream that Mets Matt Harvey game. I think it's at 12:10. I do not have school that day due to testings and examinations and all that stuff. So honestly, I may even stream that game at this rate because that'll probably be a really good game. I'm not going to lie. Just to see Matt Harvey back on Citi Field, I mean, that's going to be nuts to see. And I mean, it's going to be nostalgia. I'm sure the Mets fans are going to give him a huge standing ovation. And I mean, why wouldn't they? I mean, I understand this dude didn't have such a good end of his career with the Mets, but he really started off, and I think he kind of set up the future for the Mets. Um, Matt Harvey's going to throw a no hitter. I hope not. If he did, I'd be very upset. So that's that. That's the Mets and Diamondbacks series recap. Mets and Orioles series preview. I did want to get into some other stuff. Talking about Mets injuries. You know, we saw Jacob deGrom. He had some issues. We saw that he left yesterday's game due to some inflammation in his lat or just back. Basic stuff for deGrom. Which was a big issue for him. And, you know, he only went 5 innings. They took him out. Castro went in, as stated before. I'm not going to repeat myself constantly as I usually do in these streams. But, you know, it's very unquestionable if he's going to make his next start on time. Louis Rojas, our favorite Mets manager. We all know how much I hate him. We know that he had a press conference yesterday where he stated deGrom's next appearance could be questionable. It was kind of ambiguous with it. It's questionable. Is he going to start on time? I think the next one would be the last game against the Tampa Bay Rays, which is a 3-game series after the Orioles. So is he going to start it? As long as he doesn't go on the IL, I think it's fine. If he misses a start, okay. I just rather him not be placed on day-to-day or the 10-day IL or anything worse than that, which I don't think it will. And I understand, you know, everyone's saying, oh, it's not a big deal, but I understand that. But the thing is, when you have such this big athlete who provides so much for this team, and not even that, you know, he's throwing harder. You know, deGrom's throwing 100, 101 miles per hour first pitch. You know, this dude's practically past midseason form. You know, he's throwing 100, 101, 102 miles per hour, you know, in the first inning. So, you know, the harder you throw, the likelihood that you're going to hurt yourself more. You know, if you're throwing 50 miles per hour, hey, you're probably not really going to do anything to yourself. I mean, I probably could I throw 50 miles per hour when playing catch. I mean, so, you know, I don't know. But I'm not really concerned with deGrom. I mean, you know, typically during the early of the season, we always see this with deGrom. In 2020, he missed like 3 starts because he had a lot of inflammation and soreness, and it's nothing new with deGrom, and you got to be careful with this guy. So that's that. In terms of Brandon Nimmo and JD Davis, still the same thing with them. The likelihood, the earliest, I think it's likely Davis would maybe return first. It's still questionable, and they probably will return at the same time, honestly, at this rate. The earliest they could return is, I think, May 13th, which is, I think, the second game of the Mets and Rays series. So, yeah, that'll be very interesting to see how these guys return. And then we have Carlos Carrasco, who, as we stated, he is back on the 60-day IL. Not very good. Earliest he could return is, I think, the 31st. So that'll be like Memorial Day weekend or something like that. And then Seth Lugo is making progress. He'd probably be the next big thing after Nimmo and Davis to return. So Lugo back in that bullpen. You look at this bullpen now, I can only imagine what we would get. You know, Lugo's the guy who could easily give us, you know, 4 innings, 3 innings. And, you know, Lugo's coming back before Carrasco. You know, that 5th starter is still questionable. That helps us back so much more because you could have, you know, Castro start the first inning and then Lugo go 3. I mean, we know how Lugo is when he starts off games. Doesn't do too well, so maybe that's why you could have him face the bottom of the order. You know, you have Castro get the first 3, and Lugo gets, you know, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that could be 2, 3 innings right there. So that'll be great to see. So I'm really excited for this team coming ahead. And I think this team has so much to offer coming ahead. I really do. In first place, we're 16-13, a lot going on. I do want to talk about one thing, the Jeff McNeil and Francisco Lindor little incident. And I'm going to label it an incident, and I'll put it in air quotes. So it's very questionable. So we still stated before, Lindor and McNeil, you know, they still have communication issues. Of course, they're still getting used to each other as players, you know, how to adjust to the shift properly, and just where to stand. You know, these guys are going to be standing 15 to 10 feet from each other for the next probably couple years, give or take. So that's something they're going to have to get used to. And I understand they're new. They have to get used to each other. So there was a little error between both of them in the 7th inning where it was a basic ground ball double play. McNeil stood in front of him. Lindor stood behind him. McNeil got out of the way. Lindor was able to grab it. He threw it a little high. Kind of a delay so the runner beat it out. I forgot who the runner was, but he beat it out. Generally, that's the main point. So the two of them, I don't know. They were probably pissed off about that. Poor communication, as I would say. They weren't talking to each other. I know I always say talk, talk, yell to each other. They didn't do much of that. So that was a big issue. And then when that inning ended, as we know, there was some commotion in the clubhouse towards the end of the dugout. We saw Dominic Smith and Michael Conforto kind of running the dugout. Like there was a brawl or someone just fell and hurt themselves, or they were running to that dugout like a bomb was about to drop on the dugout. And we saw all the players came rushing towards. We saw the coaches, Alonso, Pilar, we saw them all run towards and just investigate. We saw some players go in and then came out like 2 seconds afterwards. And then one thing I do want to point out about that is McCann. McCann was taken out of the game following that. I don't think there was any reason why McCann was taken out. I assumed it had to do something with that. Because why would McCann be taken out? I mean, you're really going to place Nito for 3-4 innings? I mean, I don't know what the mentality was that. Maybe that was because you're using a bullpen game. No, that wasn't a bullpen game. Never mind. So yeah, I don't really know what the meaning of that was. So everyone was kind of forgetting about McCann. Did McCann maybe get involved, get himself into an issue where they took him out? I have no idea. But in terms of that, afterwards, it was kind of a question. No one knew what was going on. Everyone was still questionable. Gary, Keith, and Ron, they didn't know anything about it until afterwards. As we know, McNeil and Lindor, I should say, were both recommended to come to the post-game press conference. They were. And then that's when they gave the excuse it was a rat. How McNeil saw a rat in the dugout, called the attention to Lindor to come investigate it. The two of them got into a verbal confrontation about if it was a rat or a raccoon. Because Lindor's quote unquote played with the Cleveland Indians, where he's never seen a New York City rat or raccoon or whatever it was. And then they claim that's what caused an issue. I know everyone was posting on Twitter pictures of McNeil's face saying he got punched. He was fine. He didn't get punched. There were no scars on his face, no black and blue, no shiners, nothing that. Everything looked fine. I wasn't concerned. I didn't think they would fight. I mean, if they fought, that would have been the biggest oof out of everything. We had Lindor come up and then a fight. I can only imagine, but I don't really know what happened. I think there's a small chance it could have been a rat or a raccoon. Maybe they got into some verbal communication. I don't think it was physical. I just think it was a verbal confrontation. Maybe he said something to him. Maybe he exchanged some words back. I really don't know. And that's all we're gonna leave with it. I mean, everyone, yeah, you're right. It is a BS story. I mean, I don't know what to believe of it. I think it's fake. I mean, I think it's common sense. I mean, seriously, that's what it is. I mean, listen, they're not going to go out and say, "Oh, hey, our $341 million, 11-year shortstop just assaulted and got into a physical/verbal confrontation with their all-star second baseman." Oh no, I'm not going to do that. So honestly, I have no idea, really. So that's the issue with that. I honestly don't know. I really wish I knew. We'll go with the rat. And then another good story. We learned how who Donnie Stevenson was. Donnie Stevenson is the second coming of Pete Alonso. I don't want to say I didn't know it because, I mean, literally the picture of Donnie Stevenson on the shirt literally had glasses and a beard. I mean, what other guy in the Mets has a beard or I don't know, whatever's past the 5 o'clock shadow. Pete Alonso. All right, let's be real. It wasn't Kevin Pillar. So we saw that, and then it was released today that it was Pete Alonso during a hitters meeting. He had sunglasses on and a hat, of course. And then it was his alternate ego, Donnie Stevenson, to rile him up as well as the other players. I guess you could say at work, maybe not so much for him because he didn't have a good series against the Diamondbacks. So whatever works, honestly. I don't want to say I wasn't surprised. I mean, let's be real. The fact that, Alonso mentioned it. He was the first one to break it, so that kind of makes sense. And then Rojas, he didn't even bring it up. So if it was a fake person, 100%. I mean, Donnie Stevenson, Steve Stevenson, who's the owner of the Mets? Steve. I mean, so I don't know. I don't want to say it was, a real person. I mean, it kind of could have been logical since they fired Chili Davis, I guess. I really don't know. But looking at Twitter, it's clearly Pete Alonso, so good for them, I guess. Seeing if there's anything else new on Twitter. I always like to check Twitter with the live stream on. Nothing seems new. There was a SNY stream today of Robin Ventura and the 2000 Mike Piazza gang. Very good for them. I like how SNY does that. I will say Steve Cohen definitely is at some point going to have to buy out SNY because we all know it's still owned by the Wilpons. So, if they want to get on that and have it fully Steve Cohen Mets, you're gonna wanna make it Wilpon controlled. And I mean, I don't blame him. I really don't. So yeah, that's really it with that in terms of everything I wanted to talk about. If you guys have any questions, I saw there's a ton of questions. I'm gonna go over most of the all the questions I can. I see we got the usual gang. Diamondbacks are crap. Yeah, that's fair. Edwin Diaz, yeah, he's proven himself so far. He's proven himself. I will say that. The Diaz walkout music, yeah, the trumpets. I'm gonna have to buy a trumpet and doing a live stream one time or something like that. It will be a great series. Hayden, what's your take? Yeah, no, I really don't. I mean, listen, I think there's a 1% chance it's real. I really don't know. But the thing about drama on this team is that drama's good on this team. When we have drama and we have issues, look what happened with the Alvarado thing. We saw with Jose Alvarado, the Mets had the confrontation, and then look what happened. The Mets bats woke up the 2 next games and then kind of started to after that. So drama, as much as drama is bad and confrontations are bad, it fires everyone up. It fires all athletes up, especially the Mets, I think. And that's why I think I like drama and, this kind of uneasiness with the Mets. And I think, having such poor, boring ownership before, we had the Wilpons, they weren't involved in anything. Our off seasons were quiet. We didn't really have any festival stuff around at the ballpark, not many activities, memories to remember. There wasn't really, much player press conferences. Everything was quiet with the Wilpons. But now we have Steve Cohen, and we're going out to be a rich, active ball club and, being involved. There's going to be a lot of drama, and there's going to be more opportunities to create issues. I guarantee you, if the Wilpons were the owners, then McNeil, we wouldn't even have him do it. But let's say we did, that would have never even been answered. We still would have been, what happened? We had no idea. There would have never been a press conference talking about a rat. That would have never happened. So I'm just glad at least we have Steve Cohen, and at least he's, doing all this stuff. So, but yeah, generally, I really don't believe it. Definitely a rat. Yeah, they did hug it out. They did hug it out. That was nice. After the game afterwards, I want to say, I think it was the second game. McNeil was giving a press conference, and Lindor kind of went up and hugged him and said he was a raccoon. Combination of both. So that was nice. Some solidarity right there. Kind of show us that they don't want to kill each other. Was it? I mean, let's be real. That would have been a good time to prove it, but. Yankees talk with Hayden. Oh, you got the profile picture too. Nice. Yeah, you're gonna have to message me. I want to know who you are. I think I know who you are. It's definitely a rat. Yeah. Pete Alonso, Pete Alonso was not here. Pete Alonso was going off. Miss Matt Harvey. Yeah, definitely sad story. What happened with him? He had so much of a career with the Mets, had his injuries, DFA'd him. He never came back from it. And that's why I'm a little concerned with the whole Syndergaard thing. But, I mean, you can't compare the two. Tommy John to whatever was a lot. You can't compare it. When I was Reese. So with Hayden. Have any plans on going to any baseball games? Yeah, Mark, that's a good question. I do actually have some plans on attending some major league games this year. I'm going to a Marlins and Blue Jays game in June, as I live in sunny Florida. I live in South Florida. I'm like an hour from Marlins Ballpark or Lone Depot or whatever the ballpark's called now. I think they changed it to Lone Depot from Marlins Park. So whatever works. So I'm going there. I think it's June 14th. So I'll see the Mets. I'll see the Marlins and Blue Jays. As I said, I love interleague action. So I'll see, guys like Sandy Alcantara, Brian Anderson, whatever. I like those two guys. And then we're going to have more of the talent from the Blue Jays. Biggio, Bichette, Guerrero, Ryu, Grishik. So we're going to have all the Blue Jays loaded guys there. That'll be a great game. I'll probably wear all my Marlins stuff just because I don't know. Or I don't know. Maybe wear my Blue Jay stuff. We'll see. Maybe I'll definitely upload some clips of me there doing stuff. Matt Harvey. I hope not. Miguel Castro takes also most unpopular opinions about players and the teams. Yeah, Miguel Castro's looking up there. He's a solid guy. He has heat. I will say I would like his control and command to get a little bit better. I feel honestly, if any batter would face Miguel Castro, they could just stand there and it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4. Walk. Well, maybe not necessarily. He's definitely finding the strike zone more, getting those balls more over the plate, which is something I'd like to see out of Castro. Overall, I think he's a great ball player. Definitely one of the underrated bullpen pitchers out there in Major League Baseball itself. Definitely could help us out with that fifth starter role until Castro comes back. If you want to have him start until Carrasco comes back, my apologies. Castro could definitely be that guy to start the fifth starting position for the pitcher role. You could put him in for an inning or two. Hey, how is Mets baseball? Mets are doing good there, my friend. Right now they are 16-13. They're in first place in the NL East. Lindor's waking up. McNeil's waking up. The defense is up there. Our pitching has been one of the best things so far this season. DeGrom got the W yesterday. Our bullpen's been on fire. Davis, Nimmo are still on the IL. Time will tell with that. What's new? Yeah, same thing. LFGM. I did see Joey Votto, as you got the profile picture, to get his 300th home run, I think, the other day. Did he really? Yeah. I don't follow much minor league baseball. I mean, I follow some of our more like top prospects like Mauricio, Alvarez, Beatty. I know Matt Allen's getting Tommy John, like stuff like that. But yeah, I'll have to check that out, though. I appreciate you informing me about that. I will definitely check that out. Nito McCann. At this rate, in terms of framing, it's looking good. McCann had a couple good frames, though, yesterday. I'll say that. He got a base hit. He had some solid frames. But the communication to get that last out in the ninth with Pilar, that was definitely an oof moment. And I do collect baseball cards. I'm assuming you collect baseball cards too by your username. I'm a huge baseball card collector. I'm debating about starting like a little series on this channel of talking about my baseball cards. In that dresser right there, I have thousands of baseball cards, and in that bottom dresser right there, I have hundreds of more baseball cards. I have everything. I have thousands of Met cards. I have a lot of I pretty much have all the Met cards, team player cards since 2002, the year I was born. Some of them were handed down to me, and then I started collecting on my own behalf. I have a ton. I have a lot of the 90s cards. A lot of the baseball card shops I used to go to were predominantly 90s and early thousands, and they were kind of the cheapest and stuff, so I kind of grabbed those. But I have a ton. I have one off the bat here. Randy Johnson, Montreal Expos. Nice little grab here, 1989. Pretty nice card. Good condition, too. I'm very good with my cards. I keep them in a little ceiling. I have another Randy Johnson card here when he was with the Mariners. More later in his career, 1994, I think this is. 1994. So definitely something I enjoy. And I have a couple cards off on my desk right here because I do research on them, see the value and stuff. I do have a Michael Brantley rookie card. I can see it says the RC right there, rookie card. So a little something right there, 2009. I do have a Matt Chapman, Christian Yelich. I have some 2017 Astros right here on deck, and I have millions of baseball cards in there. I have some Hall of Famers, All-Stars, everything, Cy Young guys. So I definitely may start a series of that potentially soon. If you guys would like to see that, let me know. Hayden, do you think Luke Cage should stay in the bullpen all year? Absolutely. I mean, he's like Seth Lugo. When you throw him, when you throw him out in the rotation, I mean, he's like Seth Lugo. He doesn't do well. We see him definitely. He hasn't activated that curve and slutter very much. He definitely has issues with command in the strike zone. He has a high walk rate. That's a concern. But in terms, yeah, he is a bullpen pitcher. I mean, listen, I understand he's a lefty, and there's the whole concern. Oh, well, when we get Carrasco and Syndergaard back, who's going to be that lefty in that rotation? Because we're going to have all righties. And I mean, is that an issue? Can you go with a 5-man righty, right-handed arm rotation? You could. Do you want to? Would you like to have a lefty in there? At least one, maybe two, just to kind of mix it up. I mean, we see nowadays managers rely on their bullpen pitchers. They're kind of like chess pieces now, starters. They rely on the bullpen more. So, I mean, we don't even have many, lefty bullpen pitchers. I mean, besides Lucchesi, who else do we have? So big question right there. And then we have Peterson, obviously, as a starter. I don't know. With Peterson, very ambiguous with him. I like to eat a cat. Very nice. Donnie Stevenson. I hope not. Yeah, and New York drama, too. I mean, as a former New Yorker, I definitely could say New York drama is suspenseful. I love Lindor's energy. Yeah, I mean, we saw Lindor really wasn't bringing a whole lot of energy to this team. We saw, and I mean, listen, why would he? Everyone's saying, oh, he's not Mr. Smile. Well, yeah, the dude's batting way below the Mendoza line. Why would he smile? I mean, if I was batting like that, I definitely wouldn't be running around, acting like Mr. Smile. So I understand that. And I mean, with the mask, too, it makes it more difficult to see it. But I definitely think he definitely can be this Mr. Smile guy. He clearly seems to be Mr. Smile right now. I mean, he lit up simply after he hit that home run to tie the game in the 7th inning on Friday. He lit up. His face screamed. He screamed. He looked happy that he was getting up there. So I always enjoyed that. But I love Lindor's energy too. It's always great to see. LFGM, indeed. Speaking of Jerry Kuzman, I think they are still retiring his number. If not, please let me know. I think they're retiring it. If it's a take McNeil, the whole team should have had an all-out brawl. Honestly, at this rate, sure. I wouldn't like it because it'd be difficult because, like I said, they're going to be standing 10 feet from each other all year, so that'll be a little weird. But hey, I mean, listen, you had guys like A-Rod and Jeter out there. I mean, this is completely different, though. I mean, someone on Twitter is like, oh, is this like an A-Rod and Jeter? No. One, A-Rod and Jeter, they had so much more history. I mean, A-Rod was an MVP, a slug. He had so much more when he came to this team. I mean, probably much more than Lindor. And then, I mean, one, it's a second baseman, so you're going to compare Jeter to Lindor. So, I mean, you can't really do that. Or Jeter to McNeil. So definitely completely different, aspect. But I understand the argument that people are making. That Derek Jeter and Alex Rodriguez kind of had issues. The famous pop fly where they both went to get it. A-Rod stuck his glove up. Jeter kind of interfered. They banged into each other's gloves. The ball dropped. Jeter walked away. A-Rod exchanged words with him, and they kind of just walked away. I don't think it's going to be that. Angels talk with Hayden in honor of Albert Pujols. Will Lindor be an all-star this year? Yeah, Anthony, listen, I think it's a strong possibility. I love the all-star game. I'm a huge awards all-star fanatic. I live in sunny Florida. I was originally going to go to the all-star game in Atlanta, but being least descriptive as I can, they canceled it, so sadly I cannot go to that. It's in Coors, which nice ballpark. I don't mind it, but if the all-star game ever comes to Atlanta or anywhere in Florida, I will definitely be there to witness that. Or maybe if they host another one at Citi Field. I know they did in 2013, but likelihood of it happening again would be not for a while. And I think the Yankees did in 2009. So, but Will McNor, I think it's likely. I mean, he's definitely offensive and defensively he can prove himself. I mean, defensively he easily can be. Offensively, if his bat can stay up, if he could, keep up the speed on the base pass, if he could be this power hitter, bloops, whatever he has to do to get on base, if he could get his batting average up more, simply enough, if he could continue what he did in the D-backs series, I think he simply can and maybe progress a little bit more. Absolutely. I think he can be an all-star game. I think he can be in the all-star game. I think the issue is nowadays the all-star game is kind of more popularity contest. I mean, the fans vote on it. So we see, guys are going to be voting for, when I did the All-Star ballot in 2019, I voted all Mets. I voted Ramos, Alonso, Cano, Rosario, David. So, I mean, let's be realistic, Ramos and Cano weren't going to make it, but I voted for them anyway. And then I do my non-biased one, of course. But when the time comes, that'll be a great video, great content right there for y'all. But overall, I love the All-Star game. But yeah, I definitely could see Lindor making it. I could see Lindor, Alonso. Alonso could definitely make it from both offensive and defensive points. McNeil could make it. McNeil can make it for both offensive and defensive points. Lindor could make it for offense and defensive points. And then obviously DeGrom will make it. So I got DeGrom, Alonso, McNeil, and Lindor. Conforto could make it, but the thing is, right field, it's so compact. You got Mookie, you got Harper. You got so much talent out in right field, just in general. The outfield is definitely difficult to get an all-star. So that'll be a challenge for Conforto. But if he could do it, good for him. You got a ton of guys out there. Yastrzemski, Soto's left field. God, yeah, I thought that was it was Shane Green that I think is closing in on a 1-year deal. I'll say one thing: all the Braves do is sign these 1-year deals. I mean, I guess it makes sense why, in case the player's crap. And I mean, if anything, it's smart and dumb. I think it's smart because if a player is like a dud, you could kind of just yeet him to the curb, kind of like with the Ramos situation. But then it's also bad because then do you really want so many guys testing free agency in the market the following season? So you decide. Very ambiguous though for 1-year deals. What's the biggest strength and the biggest weakness for this team as it stands today? It's a great question. We'll start off with the strengths. I guess we'll go the strength as the bullpen. Right now, this bullpen has been as electric, lights out. We see that managers, as stated before, they rely on their bullpen more. Bullpen pitchers are getting more time, and we're using more bullpen pitchers. I mean, let's say one of our starters goes 5 innings. We're going to have probably at least 3 more bullpen pitchers for the game, maybe even 4. So our bullpen is very important. We saw in 2019, that's kind of what killed us. In 2019, if our bullpen wasn't in 2019, if our bullpen played the way that it's playing now and in 2020, we would have been a playoff team. I mean, Diaz blew 8 games? So 86 plus 8, that's probably wild card to almost division right there. So the bullpen has definitely been one of the biggest pros. Castro's been elite. Loop's been elite. Gazelman, Barnes. And once we get Lugo back, it's even going to be more impressive. In terms of weaknesses, it's really difficult to decide. I mean, our starting pitching's been great. Pitching all around, bullpen and starting's been great. Maybe our bats. Actually, no. I'll go specific. Runners in scoring position's definitely been a challenge. I will say that. We leave a lot of people on base. I notice. We'll start off an inning. We'll drive a walk, and then maybe get a base hit, have runners on the corners, and then we'll, simply ground it to a double play. We'll score a run, but it's like you'd rather put the ball in play. So I'd say scoring with runners in scoring position and hitting the ball in play when we have people on base is probably the weakness as of right now. In terms of, it could change any day now. But though, that's a great question right there. Lindor needs to heat up. Yeah, he definitely will. I think it's possible. So far, he's heating up. I mean, if he could progress a little bit more since what we saw in that D-back series, then absolutely. Stroman, yeah, Stroman could definitely be up there. I know he's a potential guy. Stroman, was an all-star guy with the Blue Jays, and he always claimed when he went to the Mets that he would give that. We haven't really seen it quite yet. So far, we've seen it this season. But yeah, he's looking good. He really is. Sorry, I'm getting a quick text message from a friend. Yeah, so Stroman could definitely be a potential all-star, absolutely. I mean, the all-star games, we're going to have so many all-stars. I mean, off the crack of the bat, the guys that could be in contention, obviously Alonso, McNeil, Lindor, and DeGrom are probably a solid lock. But a possibility, Nimmo, Conforto. I want to say Davis, but I think he's not really commonly known, and the defense is more going to get him. Smith, I don't think Smith has a case. Maybe a guy like Miguel Castro could make a case. Edwin Diaz could make a case. McCann, absolutely not. But we have pretty much all of our team could technically be you can make an argument or a case for an all-star for them. Maybe even Walker. Yeah, listen, I think honestly all of our guys can make a case besides maybe like McCann and Smith. Let's go, Mets, indeed. So, okay, I figured, yeah. So that's interesting. Yeah, I saw the Childish Bambino. He had a nice little series in New York. Thoughts on Rojas? Yeah, I mean, listen, man. You know I am not a Luis Rojas fan. I have never been for him. I took it with a grain of salt. I gave him the quote unquote honeymoon phase. I said, oh, 2020 it was a tough year. How can you judge a guy? I mean, how can you really judge how could you judge a manager who it's his first season as a major league manager? Throughout most of his career and life, he was a minor league manager. So, that was really tough. And then, he came up with this Mets team in 2020. And I mean, I took it with a grain of salt. I call it the honeymoon phase, the presidential first 100 days, whatever you want to call it. And then he didn't really do anything. We saw he didn't really stand up for his players ever. We saw that series in Toronto, or in this case, Buffalo, when the Blue Jays were playing there last year, where McNeil got hit by the pitch and he was called out. And he was hit by the pitch and he was entitled to first base. McNeil was, kind of arguing. And Rojas didn't do anything. He just stood there with his arms crossed, looking like clueless. And then, simply enough, he doesn't stand up for his players. I mean, getting more into that with the Alvarado thing, I didn't see Rojas in sight. I mean, let's say the man had a jacket on. Okay, sure, but I didn't see the man. He should have been the first one out of the dugout. And even after that, when all the guys were off the field, we see Alonso and Lindor talking to the umpires. Well, Rojas should still be out there talking to the umpires to see if there's been any ejections or if there's any warnings implemented. And then simply, with the McNeil and the Lindor issue, Rojas had no idea about it. They asked him after the game, and he's like, "Oh, I have no idea." Afterwards, I walked to the dugout, and all my players were like, "Oh, we're gonna win the game." I was like, "Of course you don't know anything, Luis. You don't know anything." So, in terms of that, there's so much more. He doesn't stand up for his players. He's not knowledgeable of these guys, so that's one. Two, I think with the bullpen, he's very shifty. He leaves guys. Well, in 2020, we saw Rojas left guys in too long. We see he lived in Waka and Porcello. He left those guys in way too long. Porcello would give up 4 runs in the first, and then he'd leave him all the way into the set. In the 6th, and it's like, well, why do you do that? And you gave up 5 more runs. So that is definitely a big issue right there. Definitely a big issue right there. Rojas, he has so much more. Just to go over, I could rant about him for days. Standing up for the players is a big thing. He doesn't help out these guys. At this rate, I would have, I don't want to say Callaway because I don't want to get canceled, but I would have no problem taking back Mickey or Terry. Regardless, I know with the Mickey Callaway situation, yeah, sure, but I'm just saying in regards of managerial status rather than, personal life issues, I'd rather Callaway, Terry, I'd freaking Manuel, I'd rather him at this rate. I mean, is Rojas the manager for the season? Yes. Is he the manager for the long term? Absolutely not. And, I really took it with a grain of salt. Rojas, he showed himself in 2020 coming into this team, shortened season, so much potential. And, he was shortened to be the Mets manager. I mean, Carlos Beltran was the Mets manager for like two months over the offseason. And then they fired him. And then he was late to the game, saying, oh, Luis Rojas, it's 2020. You have a month till spring training, get to know the guys. And he's like, okay. So I took it with a grain of salt, but it's done. The honeymoon phase, presidential first 100 days, the chance it's over. It's real now, Luis. It's not your starter anymore. So definitely a big issue with him. Tim Tebow, yeah, it's possible. Oh, we got the Cubs fan, Alec. What's going on, man? Oh, we got another Cubs fan. So I don't know if they're the same people or not, but that'd be pretty funny if they. What's the Mets record? They are 16-13, so they are first in the NL. Yeah, so they are first in the NL East. So they're looking good. Just simply looking at the NL East overall, it's looking good. But please, everyone, we're probably going to call the stream in a bit. I got some stuff to do. But please drop some more final comments, questions, anything else you guys want to ask. Baseball related predictions. Who's your favorite player? Who's your least favorite player? Biggest team that you're surprised of? team you're disappointed with, whatever. But in terms of the NL East right now, we have the first place Mets at 16-13, the second place Philadelphia Phillies 18-17, the third place Atlanta Braves 17-17 at 500, fourth place we have the Miami Marlins 15-18, and then in fifth place the Washington Nationals. And definitely surprising. I mean, is it likely this is how it's going to stand for the rest of the season? It's pretty unlikely. Probably not. But it's possible. It really is. Pete Alonso. Yeah, definitely Pete Alonso is a strong one. Honestly, having Mets, Phillies, Braves, Marlins, Nationals, kind of a surprise. I really thought it'd be something like Braves, Mets, Nationals, Phillies, Marlins. I mean, I know that's kind of what everyone was assuming, but it really came as a surprise. I mean, the Nationals, a fifth place team. Listen, it's something. And Marlins fourth place team. It's a possibility. I mean, the NL East is probably one of the best divisions in baseball at this rate. I really will argue that. So please, everyone, drop some more final comments, questions, concerns, anything else you guys have, questions, whatever. We're gonna get into some more stuff. We got a ton of stuff to talk about. So please drop some more questions, comments, concerns. Let me know. I don't know. Who's your favorite player, least favorite player, whatever you guys got. Turns. Whoops, we don't want to play that. So yeah, probably call the stream up in a bit. Least favorite player is Ryan Braun. Yeah, that makes sense. I understand that. I mean, when Robinson Cano lost it, that I really lost respect from him. Cano, Braun, a lot of guys that did that stuff. I lost respect for. It's kind of when you want something, you work for it. You go to the gym. You want to get stronger, you go to the gym. You eat right. It's unfair that you have to cheat and inject yourself with a needle so you get stronger. I mean, that's not fair. You're breaking rules and you're breaking your team's back right there. And it's unfair. It really is. I mean, I know it sounds like a child excuse. Oh, that's not fair. But I mean, it isn't. It's cheesy. It's either play properly or too bad. And, when they're talking about Cano's contract, screw Cano's contract. He cheated. Don't cheat. If you play by the books, you get your money. Isn't it basic in the world? If you work, you get paid. But if you don't do something right at work, or you cheat, or you do something illegal at work, well, you shouldn't get paid. So why should they pay Cano in this situation? I'd say dump his contract, or simply enough, what is it, 10 million, 15, 20 million? Give him it. Who cares? Give him it. Say bye-bye, Cano. And he's 36, 37 years old. No team's going to sign him. So we're going to have to see with that. Least favorite Alvar. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But please, everyone, we're probably going to call it a stream from here. We had a great stream. Great lads in here, as always. So, yeah. So drop some more final questions, comments, concerns. Share the stream with everyone. And we are probably going to call it a day. We had a great stream. Some great lads. We had Gio, Z-Card Sports, Karen, Huma, Nick, Luan. I mean, I don't know if I'm assuming those are two accounts. We had Robert Manfred. Oh, fascinating. Yeah, Robert, I like you comment some interesting stuff on my pages. I will say that. John, we had Yankees Talk with Hayden, surprisingly. Zariz 2.0. What else we got? We got Marco. Russian Husky, Mets Fan MB, YouTube production. So we were loaded this stream. We really were. So I appreciate everyone for coming in. We had a great stream as always. So we got the Mets and Orioles game tomorrow. Marcus Stroman on the bump against John Means. Marcus Stroman, gold, throw as many strikeouts. John Means, gold. Come back, have a nice performance after his first no-hitter. That'll be a great game, everyone. In terms of live streaming a game, I would like to. In terms of live streaming a game, I'd rather live stream a 7-inning game. A doubleheader, maybe like the first or second game of a 7-inning doubleheader, just because it's so long. Just in terms of watching the game and talking, and it's like I'm not really qualified to be an MLB announcer yet. So yeah, but who knows? Maybe that'll be something I could work towards. I'm sure we have some loyal people in the chat. They wouldn't mind chilling with me for 4 hours talking about baseball. So I'm down to that. But I want to appreciate everyone for coming out. We had a great stream as always. Mets and Orioles coming up. We have so much to look forward. My goal is the pitching stays hot, starting rotation, bullpen, offense stays hot. Lindor stays hot. McNeil stays hot. Alonso hits some nice bombs. My predictions for the Mets and Orioles series, I got the Mets taking the series 2-0. I know with the Mets and Diamondbacks, I got it wrong. Luckily, I said the Mets would take 2 out of 1 from the D-backs. Mets got the sweep, boy. So I'm hoping the Mets can get that winning record up to 8. The Mets have a winning record of 6 right now. I know 5 or 6. I don't know. Hopefully, so we can get it out to 7 or 8 or whatever it's at right now. So I'm hoping the Mets can get 2 out of the 2 games against the Baltimore Orioles, which I believe is being played at Citi Field to my knowledge. And then after that, they will be playing the Rays. My next live stream will likely be on Thursday, which will be after the Mets and Baltimore Orioles series. So I appreciate everyone for coming out. See you guys. I appreciate everyone staying. He gets paid $36 million a year. Okay, so yeah, I mean, honestly, if you want to dump it, I mean, if you want to give it to him, if you want to have a whole lawsuit about it, whatever, that's their problem. I mean, Steve Cohen's rich. He'll fly out the checkbooks. He'll be like, here you go, Cano, you bum. Take your money back. But I want to appreciate everyone for coming out. We had a great stream, as always. Great lads. I'm going to stop saying it because I'll probably say it a million more times. But please, everyone, if you haven't, give this stream a like, comment, subscribe to the channel, share this channel with all your friends. It's all I could ask you to do. Try to get me out there more. Follow me on my social medias, Snapchat, Instagram. I'm going to put the banner up quickly so you guys can look at that. So please follow me on my social media. Instagram is just my name, Snapchat, and Twitter. Mostly I kind of use all of them, so whatever. So please follow me on that. We could talk baseball anytime you want privately. If you want to join one of these streams with me or something, we could set that up. But we had a great stream as always, baseball fans. Till next time, baseball fans, see ya. Yo, that's the GOAT right there. Shoot. Big Meat Pete. Let's go Mets, guys. See ya.